Hey everyone, welcome back to Witch Cove Crafts. This week is about stuff not going right. I had been working on a small project that had turned into a large project, and things weren't going well. And right about when I realized that I had printed half of the parts I needed in one scale and the other half in another scale, I realized that perhaps what I really needed was to take a break. So I dug out some Flumphs. If you're not familiar with Flumphs, they are benevolent, telepathic creatures from D&D that float around in the Underdark, warning travelers and adventurers of dangerous or evil creatures that might be nearby. In particular, they're known for living cooperative, monastic lives with others of their kind and being well versed in philosophy. I love them. So after cleaning up the little Flumphs by scraping a hobby knife over any flashing on the models, we'll want to mount them on something a little smaller than the included bases. I always feel kind of bad when I have to drill at the bottom of a figure like this. Sorry guys. But with the holes drilled, we can pop them on some temporary wooden sticks for painting. For the base, I actually ended up harvesting a bunch of leftover plastic bits from Make It mini kits. They often come with lots of molded bits that aren't actually part of the final product, but they do make for great scratch build materials. These wooden panels can be cut up by just scoring and snapping with a knife, and will make a perfect floor. And this glue pot lid can be trimmed down and cleaned up to make a tabletop. For the actual base, I made some cinnamon rolls, and then I reused the container the icing came in. The planks can be stuck in place with glue easily enough, and then afterwards we can trim off the edges to match the shape. And once all the floor is down, we can smooth out the edge of that with sandpaper. A hole through the base will give us somewhere to mount the table, and then we can glue down one of the Flumph bases to make a table base. And once that's done, we can glue the table to a plastic pipe and glue that into the base. And after all the glue is set, we can use Tommy a putty to fill in the gaps around the wooden planks. For the table lamp, we'll keep it simple and use one of these little HO scale diorama lamps. But we'll need to cut it down to size. Thankfully, the base comes right off. And the post can be shortened by first scoring the plastic with clippers in a circle, by tightening them gently and then twisting, and then bending the post to snap it off. This way we can get the post out without damaging the wire. Then we can ream the hole out in the table with a hobby knife to make room for the lamp's base. Finally, some brass wire rolled over a brush handle to curl it makes for a perfect lamp handle. After masking out the light panes with liquid mask, we can take everything outside to prime. First, we'll go over everything with white to give it a zenithal highlight. Then, starting with the base, we'll go over it with deep browns and thin layers to establish the wood tones, and then go over that in other shades to give it some variety and highlights. After the bulk of the painting for the base is done, we can singe off the wire sheath with a torch and solder in a simple battery holder. Then it's time for the Flumphs. Since these are monastic Flumphs, taking a break from their daily work of sharing knowledge and philosophy with passing adventurers, we'll want to make them yellow, which needs a base undercoat of warm brown on the bottom, and then pinks on the top. After that, we can build up the yellow tones, followed by the blue of the tentacles. Then everything gets a warm skin tone ink wash pass to warm up the crevices and shadows and make it feel cozy. With the base coat done, we can snap off the Flumphs painting sticks and trade them out for clear acrylic display rods that can get glued into the holes in the base. Careful not to get super glue on any clear parts that will be visible, as this will fog the plastic. Then we can give the Flumphs a once-over with some extra texture and detail, including their little eyes. As a final touch, I brightened the tone of the table to make it stand out just a bit, and painted on some coffee and tea stains from other patrons of the table. Now, since the Flumphs are having tea, we need a tea set. This I did in Blender, aiming for a stylish glass and bamboo feel that has a bit of a modern twist to it. After all, the Flumphs definitely must have a good taste in interior design. After that's been printed, we can pull out the supports and carefully dip each piece in a thin layer of resin, which we can cure under a UV light to give everything a glassy finish. Then we'll make some tea, using coffee, and drip it into the cups. Some crushed up scale leaves go into the teapot before adding resin. Once everything is cured with a UV light, we can glue it in place, and paint on the bamboo handle for the pot. And finally, with a layer of Muso black on the base, it's ready. And there you have it, 2 little Flumphs having a tea party. I'm gonna keep this on my desk to remind myself to slow down and have a cup of tea next time I get wrapped up trying to do too big of a project too quickly. That was actually a key part of why I started doing a channel. as a way to set reasonable deadlines for myself and to challenge myself to break out of a habit of hobby perfectionism and just try more things. And I'd say this counts as a good example of that. I hope it does the same for you. Thank you so much to everyone who's subscribed so far. It actually really means a lot, and I appreciate you all. If you'd like to download the Flumphs tea set for printing for yourself, I'll put a link in the description. And if you do happen to use it to make something, I'd love to see it. I'm Sayer, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time, here on Witch Cove Crafts.